What? A steel hammer against that? Don't ever do that. Okay, so I try to reuse as many parts as I can. On some bikes, things like this, like an axle, are not available. This axle has been beaten with a steel hammer, like I was joking with there. And I can put my finger in here and I can actually feel a lip right here. And it's so far gone that it won't even fit this triangle that's supposed to fit this bike. That's how I first noticed. I'm like, oh, dang it. So I'm helping finish up this project build with Dirt Bike Magazine. And you can see how beat up this thing's been. I'm gonna give you some tips on how to salvage that. Also clean up this side a little bit. You know, it even got hit over here. And we'll chase these threads just a little bit, show you how to. We're also gonna address the front axle a little bit and also our axle blocks. First thing we do is clean it really good. This one's already been blasted, so it's okay. Now, if yours is all dirty and pitted, you don't have to have a vapor blaster or anything like that. You can do this all by hand with some rough Scotch-Brite, and I'm kind of going in a figure-8 motion like this. And you can see how nice it comes out. We can get that first. Now, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I got a big chamfer on here, and I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna try to knock, and it's still there, that lip is still there. Oh, it's still there. That's how much material they knocked away. Put a little bit of lube on there. Now I can get my hand deburring tool, and I can go around just like this. Look at that. So now it goes in nice. Now let's clean this thing up a little bit. So now I can feel little edges here to where even our chain block doesn't want to fit on there nice. So I'm gonna use a little sanding pad, and you could do this with a file if you don't have any power tools. You could do a file and then sandpaper and then Scotch-Brite. That's looking pretty good. You don't want to take off too much. Now this is our Scotch-Brite wheel, and if you were doing this by hand, you could just do it by hand. Look pretty good. Okay, now this makes it a really nice blending with my Scotch-Brite wheel. It's a deburring wheel, so to actually take out some high spots. Now I don't want to take off too much of those flats, so it'll woggle in our chain blocks. Look how nice that looks. And a little bit of wet will kind of help it polish out too. So now I'm going to go to a little finer one. So it kind of gives it that dull look, kind of like a stock one. I don't want it too shiny, and that leaves a nice finish. Shouldn't rust or anything too bad. Okay, so for our threads here, I want to get all the dirt off first. And you can do that with your wire brush. My brush is falling apart. I should get a new one for Father's Day. Now this one's also been smashed right here with a hammer, which is a total no-no. Now when it comes to cleaning up threads, I have a brand new nut, and I have an old one that's actually a Kawasaki nut. And I want to go here, and I'm going to roll this backwards with a triangle file, just like this. And rolling it backwards so that when I fall off, it'll have a nice place to start. Put a little bit of lube on our threads on both. So just want to chase these. Don't want to use my brand new nut. I'm gonna go as far, then I'm gonna go put a nice little chamfer on there. Okay, first thing I'm gonna clean up that flat so it looks nice. You can see how beat up this thing was. Now I can get out here on an angle. I can back the nut off. Nice. And as far as it's going to go on, go like that. Okay, so this right here is all beat up, and there's a lip right here. And that's not allowing our Works Connection blocks to fit in here. The stock blocks were so trashed, it wasn't worth it. And this is all beat up from somebody hitting it with a hammer. I failed to mention, when I say no hammer, no steel hammer, a dead blow is what you want to use whenever you have to hit something on a bike. So now what I'm going to do is just file that lip off. You can see how easy it's coming off, but it's not huge, but it's enough there. Nice, fits in here nice now. Now see this right here? Unfortunately, they painted this swing arm before they did this. If it was mine, I would have checked this first before getting it anodized or painted. And I also don't like to actually paint swing arms. I like just to polish them out. So I have some paint fix here for my Pappy. We'll fix that little spot like that. Let's get it together. Okay, so when you're putting your new axle in, you shouldn't have to ever use a hammer. If you're having to use a hammer, then you've got some things wrong, other than just a slight hit, you know. So that's how it should go in together, like that. We got our washer on here. We're ready to assemble this thing. This bike's still waiting on a rear rotor from Pro-X, which we should have any day. And we'll get this thing going. If you're shopping for dirt bike parts, use our Rocky Mountain link. Really easy to do. Also, when you go there to our website or Linktree, we have other really good links and codes. Wiseco, Pro-X, Recluse, Cardo Systems, really good things to check out, and much more. Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about the front axle. Isn't great on this bike either. You can see it's been hit as well. We'll kind of do some of the same things. Oh, this thing's been beat pretty good right all through here. So again, on the axle, you want to make sure this is all clean, good surface. And same thing on this one right here. Then we'll clean it off. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to kind of clean up that hole a little bit. Now, these can be damaged too far to repair. So we have a thread pitch file. We can see that it's 1.5 millimeters is the pitch. So now we're on the 1.5 setting of our thread file. Let's put a little lube on there. With our nut on there, we want to just put a tiny bit of a chamfer on here. Now, I might have failed to mention this on the last one, is the reason we leave the nut on there, so when we back it off right here, it cleans up the threads on the way off. This is a steel nut. Many of you guys use the stock aluminum one off of like a CRF 450. This is older, but the threads are the same if you get an aluminum one. I've got a really nice steel one here. We're going to use this one, but I'm going to clean it up first and give it a nice look. Just a wire wheel, and then for this surface out here, I can give it a nice, like that. So then I can come around with this rough Scotch-Brite, kind of help give it a little bit more of a brush look. That thing was looking pretty old. So one of the things you always want to check on a front axle is that this goes through here nice and easy like this. When we put that chamfer on here, what usually gets damaged is this lip right here, and that will not allow this to go through here like this. So this has to go through here with no wheel on, just like this. If it's not doing this, then what you have to do is clean this up, this surface, with some sandpaper, and knock this down to where you don't feel any lip right here at all. Now that we know this side's good, we're going to push it through and make sure that it goes through here. So it feels great through there now. We can tap it out. The one little trick to get an axle out is the rounded end of your wrench, which you may be using to, just like that. So see this right here? You don't need that much, but you do need grease. So you just need about that much. And you put a thin layer all the way across like that. So that's as much as you should see when you put it on your front or rear axle. And what that allows is this will never get stuck to the bearings inside. And we have for sure seen that happen. And so the key here is when they're not lined up right here, guys will hit it, and this lip right here will make a mark on your fork lug. So you got to get past at least to here before you ever think of putting a tap to it. Now, if you're getting some free spinning, I call it, because everything's all so lubed up right now, you can snug up this other side for a second. And it's important to have a good procedure when you tighten your front wheel. So right now we're going to get this nut tight first. So at this point, I want to tighten this all the way so it's tight. If you've had to tighten this nut right here to allow that to happen, then you loosen. All 4 of these bolts should be loose. Now you're going to tighten these 2 that are next to the nut. Okay, so this is how much the fork leg will move. So the fork leg can move back and forth a bunch. See that? It can move to there, and it can move around. So that's why you want to center it. And my front brake's not working right now, so I don't have, so I'm gonna whack it here side to side. I can pull down on the front end. Anything I can do like that to help it find its home, which is right there. Now we can snug up this side and be tight and all done. You want to pay attention to how you tighten your front wheel so that if this fork leg is in here or out here, it's not going to allow the suspension to work correctly. So you want to make sure that it's fully in its home position. So that's a wrap. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Check us out. We'll see you next time.